this room is a room full of really successful people. And what we are asking you to do tonight to celebrate Dot's 10th birthday is to volunteer to go into schools to talk to children about your profession and about being successful, but also to talk about your values, because our programme teaches children how to value themselves and others. We also believe it's value for money. It's £5 per child for an entire year, and each child gets their own workbook. So what we want you to do is to go into schools, talk to children, but also hopefully fundraise to help the school raise the money to buy the materials, because there isn't money for this kind of work at the moment. Can one person make a difference? Are you standing there thinking, well, will I make a difference if I go into a school and talk? I would say that I'm living proof of that. Nelson Mandela was a role model for me, and I am so thrilled that my dream came true of meeting him. But also Len Goodman was a role model for me, and I was lucky enough for him to be my dance teacher, and that is pretty lucky. And I have to say, standing here with all of you, the things that happened in my childhood, the violence and the abuse, Len was such a good friend to me, and he made me laugh and he made me happy, and that is very, very important. And what happened in my childhood is bearable because all of you over the last 10 years have helped 2 million children access our programme and the DOT programme. So we believe it is so important that children learn to value themselves, learn to understand who they can talk to and who they can go to for help. And we're thrilled that we have got some of the most famous and professional people in this country backing our programme. But I would say our programme is good, and what I would like you to do now is to hear from the children themselves about why they think the programme is important and what they would like you to do.
Dot and her friends enlighten us to the risks that we may face in our homes, school, communities and online.
The programme has introduced us to many adults that can help and advise not only us but our teachers and parents too. We learn about some sensitive subjects in a safe and comfortable way with our teachers. We know that it is important to value who you are and what you have and the communities that we live, learn and spend time in.
Some schools in London have been lucky enough to have had special visits from Kristina Rihanoff. Schools in Hackney, Islington and Lambeth had special lessons around dreams and aspirations and of course dance. Kristina spoke about the importance of having ambitions, nurturing talents and getting a good education. She shared her own experience of her childhood and how she used dance as a way of dealing with unhappy events in her life.
In the past, we have been lucky enough to have the MissDorothy.com workbooks funded, but this will not be the case in the future. So having visitors like yourselves helping us to fundraise for the programme would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Well, as Sharon said, I've been a young person ambassador for Miss Dorothy for a few years now, and I absolutely love it. I try to get them to get me to help out whenever they can, but I'm afraid I don't do as much as I should do. I got involved with the Miss Dorothy programme because I believe that all children have a right to be safe. MissDorothy.com and Watch Over Me programme does this by empowering children and young people. It teaches them about their rights and about how to make the right decision. I also believe that keeping young children safe and teaching them about how to value themselves and how to value others is something that everyone should care about. My family have been involved with the Miss Dorothy programme since my dad launched the Miss Dorothy programme 10 years ago in his constituency. And in the summertime, my mother and I helped launch the Adopt a School programme. We visited Rokesley Junior School in London, and we helped them with a bake sale and helped them to bake cakes and raise funds so the school could continue this year with the Miss Dorothy programme.
I'd like to just say a few words about why this organisation is important. When we launched it 10 years ago, it came out of a conversation that originated actually up north in my constituency. And the idea was very, very simple, which is that in today's world, children are surrounded by all sorts of influences. They have really quite complicated decision-making to make judgments to make, assessments to make about the situations they find themselves in. And of course, their parents, as we all do as parents, try to instill the right values and help them do that. But I don't know whether, like me, of all the things I've ever done in my life, actually the hardest was not being Prime Minister for 10 years, but being a parent. I mean, no disrespect, but... And no matter how good a parent you are, your children are out there in the school environment and in other contexts, and it is enormously helpful if there is some way that they can learn very simply about the types of issues that matter today, the types of judgments they're called upon to make and decisions that they have to make, and in particular how they can make themselves safe, since we know this is a world in which children sometimes aren't safe. So once we heard this concept, we thought it was fantastic. We got behind it. Now, Sharon was obviously the driving force behind it, but I think I have to say, in all fairness, that her husband Neil also played an amazingly important part. So, but the organization depends, of course, absolutely critically on the volunteers. I was really proud of Catherine when she decided to get involved in this. I know she's found it fantastically worthwhile, as she's just explained to you. Many of you are engaged day to day in important and difficult jobs. You've really got something to teach people. You know, you may not realize that sometimes, but you've got something to give back, and there's no one better to give it to than children.